Hi, this is Edward with sonsofgod.com. This is the first of perhaps several parts that we're going to talk about health, nutrition, and walking with God. We've had numerous requests to know a little bit more about how Ann and I eat, what we would recommend in this transition as far as a way of eating. So it'll be a challenge, and it may take 4 or 5 little episodes here, I don't know, to kind of put it all out. What we have come by has been over 22 years. When I turned a certain age and began to notice certain physical things happening, and rather than choosing to go the direction of heritage or family, I began to look into health and how we were eating and just the whole thing. And that threw us into a pursuit for truth concerning health, concerning what's happening in America, concerning the FDA, concerning big business, concerning everything that's combined as just one more element that seeks to control and destroy mankind, much less the sons of God. So it's very interesting. So to quell your fears, not that that would be the case, I'm not talking about being a vegetarian. I'm not talking about anything specific. Perhaps we'll title this series, Diet is Not a Religion. Because I tell you, for a lot of people out there, diet, food, etc., etc., is a major religion. People worship it. It's become a god to them, whether they're a raw foodist, a vegetarian, a vegan vegetarian, whatever they do. They sprout, they don't sprout. I mean, there's it's very interesting, and we've been around all of that extensively. In fact, there was a short time where, as we were looking for a channel for financial support, that we launched a small little business making organic foods. And it didn't quite pan out, but it was certainly a great learning curve and gave us much more insight. So what we're going to talk about, I think, essentially is, of course, all of you have read the book of Daniel, and you look at that and you say, okay, well, Daniel ate these fruits and these vegetables, and he looked so much more healthy, and so on and so forth. And there's no denying that. Although I don't know that many people that could go on a raw food diet and sustain that and live that. It's not realistic in the culture that we live in the things that we are dealing with on a stress level. So I know that for Ann and I don't really know how much raw food we eat. Maybe it's half of our diet. Certainly it's the healthiest because it has the highest vibration, and you get the most nutrients. But I mean, there's a number of things we want to talk about. I'll just kind of give you a little bit of an outline, and as these episodes unfold, we'll just keep hammering away at them. We'll want to talk about the difference between organic and not, about water, food combining, high and low energy foods, and just there's just so many things about it. Perhaps the first thing that we need to do, rather than determine what you're going to eat, and here again, what is the basis for all of this? The basis for all of this is to walk in the Spirit with the Lord. It is to take care of our temple so that we're not, number one, plagued with illness, which is incredibly fostered by the satanic world and the medical field. Basically, it's one and the same, really. But anyway, that's something else. But what we're talking about is making some basic core belief changes in our perception. I remember Ann talking about taking a class in high school, and the health teacher said, well, the perfect food is a hamburger. You've got your meat, you got your vegetables, you got your grain. It's just a perfect meal. And of course we look back and we laugh, but then that is the mindset, and it continues to be the mindset in America towards food. But perhaps the first place to start is and to address the changes that should be made just from where you're living. I know that people down deep know that fast food really isn't good for you. You've all heard about the movie, Fast Food Nation, about McDonald's. You know, they can make these gorgeous fries, and 10 years later they still look the same. You know, you say, well, what's that all about? Well, and you know, there have been words called frankenfoods, and it really comes down to the fact that we just have to be careful what we're eating, because so much of the disease and the illness that we're plagued with and the weight is because of what we're eating, and not understanding that with just a few changes in our choices, we can have greater health, higher energy, which is going to assist us in the path of walking in the presence of the Lord and sustaining that. There are foods that drain you, and there are foods that give life and energy to you. So, needless to say, I'm still surprised at how many people eat out of the can, and don't feel condemned if you do. I mean, we still have some things we buy out of cans, or frozen foods. Some are okay, probably. I'm talking about frozen dinners. None of those are any good. All the fast food chains, you know, all of it across the board. I probably should just get a list of books and put them out there for you to read, because we don't have that much time on these videos. I know that the first book that we read when we started on this path was by Harvey and Marilyn Diamond, called Fit for Life. Fit for Life 1, Fit for Life 2. And I know that our daughter has put out a book. Her website's justgoodenergy.com, and it's called something about living life on the highest level or highest energy, something like that, I forget. Those are a couple of great books that would be good. Her book, I know that it's in the process of being republished, so I'm not sure if it's available yet. I helped her write it, or at least gave her input. That would be a very good, clear, concise book within about 120 pages to just cut to the chase and explain, okay, why is cow's milk not good for you, but you could drink goat's milk? What are the dynamics of salt? Why is this salt good and that salt not good? So that book, if I can get my hands on it, would be a great book. It would be a relatively quick read, but you'd be going back to it over and over again. And once again, it just addresses basic core teaching with respect to health and nutrition. One of the things that I just want to briefly touch on, and then we'll probably wrap this up for now, and I'll try and get a little bit more focused in the future. But I'd like to talk about water. That is probably, aside from not eating junk food, not going to McDonald's, and not eating, you know, the frozen stuff, you're making some of those real simple changes, and when possible, trying to buy our fruits and vegetables as close to the farmer as possible. It's amazing. If you can actually buy something from a farmer, and we have a local one near us, we can actually go and pick them out of the ground if we want. The flavor, the quality of it, it lasts so much longer than buying something in a store. So if that's an option for you, boy, I would certainly look into it. Getting something farm fresh is so much better than getting it in the store. When possible, always look for organic. Although I know organic's more expensive. Here again, if you find local farmers that are doing more of a sustainable type of farming and they're not using a lot of pesticides, then that would be a great option to go. It's just amazing how much within our food and health, in the industry, things are just out of control with what the FDA and the government is allowing. But anyway, back to the issue of water. As I said, having made certain changes from eating fast food stuff and being a little bit more cognizant of organic or not, and just the quality of what you buy. All of that said and done, probably one of the singlest, most important things that we have found, Ann and I, has been water. Now everyone says, and you've probably grown up with it, drink your 8 glasses of water or your 4 glasses of water, whatever it is. I remember growing up, and I could not stand drinking water. It just didn't do a thing for me. So I never really drank a lot of water. And I remember talking to different spiritual ones, and they would say, you know what, you need to be drinking water. And at that point, I didn't understand why. And it took me a while before I understood why. And it kind of came at the time of other dynamics in our lives. But basically, you've got to understand that between the type of food we eat, the air that we breathe, the atmosphere, your emotions, the things you go through, all of that creates an incredible toxic environment within you. That might be a new concept, maybe not. But as individuals, we tend to be very toxic or acidic based. And all illness is born in the acidic base of your system if you're out of balance. So all of these things that we go through, the stuff that we eat, whatnot, it throws our body into more of a toxic state, where ideally we would want to be more what's called alkaline. And basically there's 2 things, acid and alkaline. And there's a blending of that would be the proper level for us. But we tend to be very acidic and consequently very toxic. So, make a long story short, water. All water is not created equal. If you spend a little time and you can do a little research on it for yourself, the bottled waters, the waters that are being put out, the lax FDA rules of what they allow in the water, and the oversight of it is staggeringly appalling. What we came across about 10 years ago, but didn't quite at that time know where to find it, was we were researching, we were looking into herbs that we could take that would heal us or would minister to us at the cell level, which basically means that if you can get to the very core level of your physical body, which would be the cellular level, that is where everything is happening. When you get sick, it's born out of the cellular level. And so what happens is that as we are more and more toxic, unless we are able to cleanse our cells at that cellular level, they will remain toxic. So the whole reason for drinking water is to help cleanse. Now, I'm just talking about normal water, and then we'll talk about the water we drink. So normal water, you drink it, and the idea is to flush your system, to cleanse out the toxins. And to some degree, that does work. And so what happens when you start clearing toxins from your body? Very simply, health and clarity. Because here again, the liver has just been overworking, trying to cleanse the body from the toxins, and the liver there's some kind of synergy with the liver and our spirit and our spirituality and our awareness. But I tell you, the minute you start to cleanse, your awareness and your clarity opens up. And that's why fasting can be so phenomenal, and yet it can be very challenging, especially depending upon how toxic you are. If you go into a juice fast, and you're going to go into a fast for a week, even 2 or 3 days, it doesn't take long for the dynamics within your body to make a shift, and you start to cleanse. And immediately you begin to become much more aware. That's why fasting is a phenomenal way, if you can do that, to really wait upon the Lord. As you get past that first day or 2 or whichever, and the sensitivity and the clarity that comes because of the fasting is phenomenal. So going back to water once again, what Ann and I use, and this is something that we've researched. The machines out there can be pricey, but we've looked into what's called alkaline water. And some of you may have heard that, may have not. Most of our water tends to be around anywhere from 5 to 7 on the pH scale. High alkaline water would be 9, 9.5. What we drink is, we actually have a machine that we came by that actually it takes the water and it microclusters the water. So, in a nutshell, what that means is that originally when the water comes down into the Alps, the high mountains, there's a clustering of the water in small molecular clusters. And if you drink that water, it is small enough that it can actually permeate you at the cell level. So when you drink that water, it's able to wash the toxins on the cell level. And that is fabulous. But what happens is, as these waters come down from the high mountains and they enter our atmosphere and the streams, and we finally get them, there is an interchange that happens. They tend to pick up a couple extra molecules, and it changes their structure and size. So consequently, the majority of water that we drink can't really penetrate us at the cell level and cleanse us. Some of it gets through, but not that much. So we came across a machine. It's basically an ionizing machine, a water ionizer. And there's, if you read about it, you'll see all the pros, all the cons. Everybody has an opinion under the sun. It doesn't really matter. I just know what Ann and I use, what works for us, is that in drinking this ionized water, that it has helped cleanse us, and it's helped our time of fasting, it's helped our clarity, and it's helped our health. So it's amazing how many people don't drink water. They'll drink coffee, they drink tea, they drink sodas of which are absolutely the worst. And so they think that they're getting hydrated. But the truth of the matter is, most of the American public is walking around dehydrated. And you might say, they're drinking all this stuff, but they're dehydrated because there's not a hydration happening at the cell level of their bodies. And so you'll see a lot of signs of aging and illness and things that come because of that. So, first major change for any of you is look into getting some ionized water. I know that at Whole Foods and certain health food stores, they have smart water is not that great. It's just another advertising thing. But there are some waters that are high pH that actually state on the bottle 9.0, 9.5 pH water. And if you're not able at this point to buy an ionizing machine, there's 3 or 4 manufacturers of them out there, and their prices go from all over the place. Most of them really kind of do the same thing. Maybe some do it better. So we don't really want to get into that side of it. But I would certainly look into getting some high alkaline water when you're at the health food store or at Whole Foods and drink that. But definitely that would be one of the first steps that I would recommend. It will certainly help you lose weight if you need to lose weight. It will help your body begin to optimize, because your body is like a computer. It knows where its inherent balance should be. And as you begin to eat a little more correctly, you begin to cleanse, you begin to flush, the body has a way of starting to shift back into what should be the perfect weight for you without even a major focus on it. So I think that'll do us for this evening, and we'll keep working away at this. Thank you. Bye-bye now.